One of the most fundamental challenges in the human experience is doing the right thing, even when it's extremely hard. But even more challenging than that is doing the right thing in the right way. On today's episode, we face this challenge head on through the lens of one of the most shocking and fascinating stories that appear early in the Torah. Our guest for this week to discuss this story is the amazing teacher and inspirational figure, Rabbi Dov Ber Cohen. Rabbi Dov Ber teaches at Aish Torah Jerusalem, and he inspires people worldwide through his videos, his podcast, his teachings, his books, all about mindfulness, meditation, Jewish wisdom, spirituality. Rav Dov Ber has got a fascinating approach. He has a fascinating backstory from his childhood growing up in London to his journeys across the world through different temples and different traditions, through walking up and down through the entire land of Israel, which was the beginning of his Jewish journey. And Rabbi Dov Ber shares a perspective to see what lessons we can learn and to see what inspiration we can take when it comes to doing the right thing and doing the right thing in the right way. As always, we're sponsored by Marlowe Plastics, My Glasses Guy, and Rosetta Studio. For any questions that you might have, any feedback that you might have, please email us at dreamerslikeJoseph@gmail.com. We want to thank Aish Torah and Aish Studios for collaborating with us on this video.
Yes, let's go.
Okay. Let's start like this.
I actually got a very bust wrist.
Oh, okay.
It's terrible for my life.
And I'm extremely weak and bad at physical exertion, so
You have been up until now.
I haven't up until now. What type of injury do you have?
I'm not so sure, but I can't do push-up, punching. It's hard.
Oh boy.
I'm not sure what it was. I think it's from lifting my bike up the stairs.
Is it one of those repetitive stress injuries? Or?
I'm not sure. Anyway.
Well, I slammed a car door on my finger.
Really, the medicine.
And this is really messing me up, yeah.
And
I can't, I could barely, I'm a righty, so I can barely do anything now. Like every time I'm like trying to do something with my right hand, it's like, ooh, hurts. It hurts.
It will never get better.
What?
It will never get better because you keep banging it.
That's got to be a metaphor for something, Rav Dov Ber. Got to be some lesson we can learn from that.
Yes, even if things don't get better, you can still live a full life.
Amazing. Okay, so we're only, 1 minute, 2 minutes into the recording, and we already have an amazing nugget of wisdom from Rabbi Dov Ber. Okay,
Profound.
so to introduce to our audience, who is Rabbi Dov Ber Cohen? Rabbi Dov Ber is a phenomenal teacher here at Aish Torah, but he really is a teacher to the entire world. His classes, his ideas, his wisdom are available in book form, in the form of a mindfulness seminar that people can join, videos, shiurim, classes, as we say in English, podcast appearances. Rabbi Dov Ber has been consistently putting out amazing, life-changing wisdom into the world.
But nothing compares to this. Everything has been leading to this podcast.
That is true. Your career, I like to emphasize in every episode of this podcast, launching a new podcast in 2026, it's a groundbreaking idea. I mean, it's going to change the world.
This is the one I've been waiting for. Jay Shetty asked me, I was like, Joe Rogan wanted me, but I was like...
Joe Rogan, I mean, that's yesterday's news. Dreamers like Joseph.
He's right.
We're moving from Joe Rogan to dreamers like Joseph. Right? That's where it's at. When I first started working here 6 years ago, I would come to you with, issues related to mindfulness and meditation, which is a real struggle for me. I downloaded, what's that app called? What's that really popular meditation app?
Headspace.
Headspace. I downloaded Headspace.
And now you have Kavanah?
I don't have any apps anymore.
Kavanah.
Because what happened when I downloaded Headspace, I don't remember if I told you this, I started with like the simplest first meditation, and 20 seconds into it, I got so upset and mad about meditating that I hit myself in the thigh with my fist. I don't think I've meditated since then. I just went like, bah, I'm not doing this. And when I told you that 5 or 6 years ago, you're like, wow, that means you really, really need it.
I'm going to give you my booklet, simple.
Amazing.
And you're going to read it over Shabbos. The whole thing.
100%, absolutely. It's the long Shabbos now. In the summer, we have long Shabbos.
But the Kavanah app.
Kavanah app?
Jewish meditation app that I teach on, and many people teach on it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Guided meditations, calm your mind, become present.
Okay, that's phenomenal. Is there anything else I left out in my intro about you? I think I probably veered off the middle, so let's go back. You're born and raised in?
Born and raised in England. Strong Reform Jewish identity. Never ate pig. Philosophy at Manchester University. Dance, music, DJ. Lots of clubbing and festivals. Lived in Asia for 6 years. Black belt, taekwondo, brown belt, aikido. Lots of silent meditation retreats and hiking in the Himalayas. Came here about 18 years ago for 3 weeks. Found the beauty, depth and truth of Judaism. Walked the whole length of Israel in 40 days. And then decided to build my life here.
Wow. What was the hardest part of Israel to walk through? I'm going to guess
Desert.
summers down south, desert.
Desert's pretty hard. is, the hardest part of the desert is the dry riverbeds
Oh, interesting.
because they're all like small pebbles.
Oh.
Very hard to walk on small pebbles.
Oh. I mean, you'd rather be schlepping up a sand.
I'm happy to sand you. The Negev's not so sand dune. It's more rocky.
Right.
I'd rather be climbing up a mountain rock face than pebbles. Very difficult, those pebbles. Ankles, no.
Yeah. And were you doing this barefoot, or you had some flip-flops, or
flip-flops?
Do you still have those flip-flops, or they're going to be in the Dov Ber Cohen Museum?
They should be.
Yeah. Wow. So this is a podcast about stories, and we're going to discuss your story that you chose. I think I wrote to you in the message that it's like Desert Island Discs, but about Jewish stories. Do you actually remember what that is, Desert Island Discs?
No, but I would imagine it is. What music would you want to take if you were on a desert
There
island?
you go. It's one of the longest running programs on the BBC.
I've heard it.
Yeah. We're ripping that off here, and we're going to be talking about stories. But just as like a little by way of introduction, like, were the stories of Judaism, was that a part of your journey, either when you were young and you had that Reform background, or as you got older?
As a Reform Jew, I knew about Jonah and the whale.
Jonah the Whale, it's a big popular one.
That's a big one. Yeah. I knew all the stories. I had Leil Seder, I had Pesach night, and lit Hanukkah candles.
And in your youth, did those...
I fasted on Yom Kippur.
Oh, wow.
From the age of 13 to 18, I fasted on Yom Kippur.
Oh, that's an interesting one to pick, to latch onto.
I don't know, that's what you do.
Right. No.
My parents did.
Right.
My sister did. So you do.
It's incredibly fasted. But in your youth, did the stories of Judaism, was that part of like the blueprint of how you saw yourself or how you saw your life's journey? Like,
no, they were just stories.
Stories. So as you grew and deepened your connection to Judaism and you kind of transformed your life. So at what point can you remember a first story that did make an impact on you, where you're like, wow, this story is a game changer for me?
It wasn't a story from the Torah. It was a story of a tzaddik. I'll tell you why it was a game changer, because I always thought you hear these stories of masters, Japanese martial arts masters in the mountains and yoga masters in the Himalayas. And Judaism, these are just like old rabbis learning ancient texts. But when I heard the story of the Chofetz Chaim, who was the greatest rabbi of the generation, and he was very, very poor and very old, and he didn't have anything of value in his house apart from his grandmother's silver candlesticks. And they were monetary value and sentimental value. And a kid, like 16, 17-year-old Jewish boy, but who wasn't religious, came into his house one day and stole the candlesticks.
Oh.
The Chofetz Chaim stood up, ran to the door and shouted, "They're yours! It's a gift!"
Wow.
Because he was so concerned that guy would be in trouble in this world and in the world to come. His first initial reaction was, help that kid.
Wow.
I would have chased the kid, beaten him up, and then say, oh, sorry, his natural reaction was not, oh no, my candles have been stolen, was, oh no, that kid's going to be in trouble. So what can I do to save him? And then I realized, wow, that's an incredibly refined human being.
Wow.
And then Rav Moshe Feinstein, he had a Gemara, he had the Talmud, and it was the first time the Rosh was printed. Rosh is a commentary on the Talmud. First time this special commentary, 1,000-year-old commentary, was on the Talmud, and he had one of the first printings. And this was 1970s, whenever it was, 60s, 70s. And he got up, he went to the bathroom. One of his students leaned over to see it and knocked the ink all over this.
Priceless manuscript.
Rav Moshe comes back in the room, he sits down, he said, I think it looks good in blue. So these are the stories that actually made me realize, oh my goodness, these are true masters of self-refinement.
It's interesting, meaning, you went from that, model of the guru on the hilltop, and you're like, wait a second, there's a Jewish version of this, and it might even, it's richer, it's deeper.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, so you've chosen a very, I guess, I don't know what the right word I would use for it is. It's a complicated story, a challenging story that appears relatively early in the Torah, in the book of Genesis. And on the one hand, I'm like, I don't know, I'm a pretty PC guy. I don't know if I'll be able to spin this story. But on the other hand, we're here to learn the stories of the Torah. There's no spoilers for a story in the Bible. Like, people should know that story. And I'm fascinated to hear how you relate to the story, why the story has had such an impact on you. it wouldn't have seemed at first glance like the story you would have picked.
It would be the last
The
story
last
that
story
you would have thought.
you know,
I'd pick.
I think when people think of you, they think of peace and love, but who knows? Peace and love has got many faces to it, and so let's hear the story. And obviously we're going to put a link in the show description where people can find the actual text of the story, which is something we're going to try to do on the show, that people who want to deepen their learning can actually go and find where the story appears. But the story comes from the book of Genesis. And can you give a pretty quick summary
Yes.
of, I guess, the events leading up to the story and the story itself?
Jacob had 12 sons and a daughter. And
Jacob is one of the Jewish patriarchs, the son of
Abraham,
and
Isaac,
then
Jacob.
Jacob comes in the lineage.
So really the whole of the Jewish people begins with Jacob. And he has these 12 tribes, these 12 sons that become 12 tribes. Really 11 sons and one daughter were born outside the land of Israel. And then he came back into the land of Israel, and he had his final son, Binyamin, was born. That's why my son is called Binyamin.
Beautiful.
First boy in our family since those days that was born in Israel.
Wow.
And then basically his daughter gets kidnapped and abused, taken advantage, molested. So the brothers find out about this, and they're obviously upset. But they don't take so much action, apart from two of the brothers, Shimon and Levi. And actually the Torah calls them and her brothers, and the commentaries point out that they're the only ones who took action. So they're really called her brothers, because a brother is someone who takes action. But what they basically went in and did, it was really the king, the prince of this nation, kidnapped her and molested her. Shimon and Levi went in and basically killed all the men, like wiped out the whole population, and took their sister back. And came back and told Jacob, their father, what he did. And Jacob was a bit shocked. It was like, you can't just kill people. Crazy? This is why it's actually a very controversial story. So the Torah isn't necessarily saying they did the right thing.
Right.
But then they said to him, are we going to let people treat our sister as a harlot? And Jacob didn't reply at that point. He just was quiet.
One of the earliest examples of the famous Jewish custom of answering a question with another question.
Or
responding,
or with silence.
Or with silence. Yeah. Well, when Jacob doesn't respond to them. Yeah.
And that's the end of the story. So people struggle with this. It's like, what is this, some crazy genocide, anger? And so yes, I admit that I don't think it was the right thing to do in many ways. It wasn't the best course of action. But there is this little part of me that is like, you go, kill, God forbid, if I have two sons and a daughter. God forbid, even if it's one person of the nation, the truth is, especially the prince of the nation, represents the nation. So all the people in the nation were probably going to come and do the same. So there could be an act of self-defense going on here. Right. So he represented the nation, and I wouldn't mind if my sons just went and just mess with my sister. So there's this childish part of me that I'm like, you go. I love Shimon and Levi, and I love Rambo and Braveheart. I'm just like, look, I'm going to destroy it, because there's an immense injustice here. Obviously, they did the wrong thing because they overflowed and they took it too far. The truth is, maybe they didn't. Maybe, in fact, Torah commentaries teach that they didn't, because everyone.
That's what I want you to emphasize that. Yeah. I think that within the world of the commentaries, we have a lot of legal, moral, ethical rationales for why they would have done this. They would have justified to do it, and within that framework, Yaakov's response of, calling them out for it is within that,
100%.
Taking it into consideration.
The viewers must know that there were reasons that all the men were as guilty.
Correct.
Just the one being, it's that nation, and the nation were particularly sinful and crazy, and they would have done the same thing, and they were threatening to do it. So I'm like,
so it's that idea. So for you, would you say that the idea of people, risking it all, doing something dangerous and doing something that they know they'll be criticized for, but they know that it's the right thing to do, so they're willing to do it. Is that
very important thing? I think many people, they shy away from doing what they know is right, just because of possible consequences and what other people, in a very lesser sense, people are worried what other people think about them, so they do things that they shouldn't do to impress other people.
Right.
People are so worried about what people are thinking about them, which is a ridiculous thing to be, because most people aren't actually thinking about you.
That's true. That's so true.
My father, alav shalom, he passed away, and on his gravestone is written, always do the right thing. He taught us to always do the right thing. So I was brought up, since I was born, just do the right thing. And sometimes I'd say, Dad, I don't want to do the right thing. And he'd say, that's okay, but do the right thing. But other people aren't doing the right thing. I know, son, but you just do the right thing. But it's hard to do the right thing. I know, just do the... He said, you get your sense of self by doing the right thing. And you end up actually getting respect from people who you should be getting respect from doing the right thing. And you have good everything.
Do you remember footballer George Best?
Yeah.
You know what George Best said?
How do you know George Best?
I don't know. But he said, I spent all my money on cars and women, and the rest I wasted.
I think I told you that story.
Uh-huh. What is it?
That's his best quote.
Yeah. So like, it's kind of, proves your point about how people could just, really have their priorities all messed up, and be, living for an image, living for something that, they think will make them happy. And, what'll truly make you happy is doing the right thing. But I think this story also, it's about doing the right thing, but it's also about doing the right thing when it's incredibly hard and it has a cost. Like, ultimately it does have a cost. There was a city that was massacred. I think it's an important idea in Judaism that we value human life above everything, but we also believe that there are some values that are greater than human life. Sometimes we might have to take a life or sacrifice a life, when there's a bigger value at stake. And I think that's an extremely hard value to adjust to. I think that's also part of the Akedah, which maybe we'll talk about in a different episode, teaser. Whatever.
I'd love to do that one.
The Akedah?
I've got a whole class about the Akedah.
Yeah, which is for sure like the most challenging story, but the idea that there's sometimes competing values and hard choices, and you have to make the right choice, even though there's going to be that lingering feeling afterwards of like it came at a at a certain cost.
And you also have to do the right thing in the right way.
Right.
The Torah says tzedek tirdaf. You should chase justice, but it repeats the word justice. Justice you shall chase.
Right.
So the commentaries say that you should do the right thing, but also in the right way. So for example, Robin Hood, I love Robin Hood. But you're not allowed to steal from rich people to feed the poor.
Right.
Unless they stole from the poor, so maybe Robin's defense is, what do you mean they stole from the poor with the taxes?
Right.
So I'm giving them. But in general, you can't steal people's money. So you not only do you have to do the right thing, you have to do the right thing in the right way. That's why some people question this story.
Right. Shimon and Levi
Didn't do it in the right way. But we would like to suggest that it wasn't a loss of control. They didn't really go crazy loss of control. It was actually very controlled, but doing the right thing.
Wow.
Although the truth is, can we be really true on this podcast?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yaakov, at the end of his life, didn't bless them because he said, you did the right thing. So the truth is, I think the Torah does come out that it was not the right thing to do.
We know there's this principle that which in traditional Jewish scholarship is the only way to understand the stories in the Bible and the Torah, is that the characters the people whose stories are recorded there are people of the highest caliber. That's why their stories are in this book, and they're judged, to an exceedingly high degree. So even a subtle step out of line, or like you said before, doing the right thing, but maybe not 100% in the right way according to the stature of who you are, can sometimes leave you open, again, in the world of the Torah, for criticism and for, So it seems like if we see how Yaakov reacted in the immediate aftermath, and at the end of his life, when he's dividing up blessings to everybody and leaving them out or pulling back a little bit, so maybe it's an example of that. We'd say in Hebrew, tzadikim nidonin kechut asar. Righteous people are judged according to a hair's breadth of justice, like exceedingly high standard.
So I'm being honest about myself. I think they didn't do the fully righteous thing, but I still love it. I'm allowed to say that. It might be politically incorrect to say that,
right?
But I'm like, you go, you mess with my daughter, and I'll kill you all. And I know that's very childish, but we
were talking earlier with Rabbi Eid about in a certain way, that's an idea that I think might resonate with some Americans. I mean, you mentioned Rambo. Like, it's a very in American stories, like the idea of the rugged individual who could go in and solve the problem.
Yeah.
Even though here it was two people working together, Shimon and Levi. But I understand that there is something about that where you see they went in and they took care of business. And as that, like, you keep saying that it's a childish part of yourself, but if you view your growth and your development since the time when you first learned that story, do you think that it's affected you or changed your decisions in any way? Like, have you incorporated that into who you are, that I'm going to do the right thing no matter what?
Oh, I always did that anyway. Maybe that's why I'm so attracted to the story, because I think I'd do it.
Wow. You do it, and never mind the consequences. You go in and do it.
I think at this stage I'd think about the consequences.
Oh, okay.
If I wouldn't be afraid to do the right thing, even if there were difficult consequences, that's not the point. I'm still wondering whether it was the right thing.
Yeah.
Which we just said the Torah seems to suggest on their level it wasn't.
Right.
This is just something also very powerful about the Torah. We're not trying to pretend that all of our forefathers were perfect and never made. I like that. Even Moses hit the rock. Right. Whereas many other traditions, their founding people were perfect and godlike and whatever. Judaism says no. People struggle and actually make mistakes and can make amends for making mistakes and grow from their mistakes. So the reason I particularly like the stories of the Torah is that they're very real, and it's real people having real struggles, and we learn from that. I even learn from the mistakes that they made. I think that's a very healthy thing.
Yeah, and I think it's also it's within that framework of these are the greatest spiritual heroes, of Jewish history, of human history, and within that framework and that stature on their level, this Torah is still recording something that could be categorized as a mistake, something that they have to do, they have to repent for, they have to make amends for, and it's like showing that it's the ultimate picture of human greatness, human greatness that could be achieved while being flawed, while having the possibility of failure or of mistakes, but still that greatness is achievable, and I think that's one of the most amazing messages that the Jewish tradition and these stories give us is, how high we can climb despite all our shortcomings, with all our shortcomings.
Makes it relatable.
Yeah. Wow. Well, is there any final takeaways, from your
Yeah, don't mess with my daughter. Good. I'm gonna kill you. I don't know who's gonna marry. She's only 14, but who's gonna be able to marry my daughter? I'll be.
Bless you that all your children and your family should only have the most amazing good fortune and have marriages with the most phenomenal people possible, and you'll see how beautiful it is when your family starts to expand. Grandchildren, sons-in-law, daughters-in-law. It's
gonna be, hey son, hey, welcome. She cries once, one day I kill you. I kill you. One day she cries.
So you're gonna be like a dad from like a country song from
you're gonna be welcome. You're welcome. One tear. You're dead. You're done. But Rabbi, I thought you're not. Shut up. You upset my daughter. You're done. Welcome. Come and sit next to me, son.
Wow. Okay. Like we say, like the Talmud says, you push them away with the left hand, and you bring them closer to the right hand.
There you go.
Wow. So just to bring it back to end off, maybe on a little bit more on brand for Rabbi Dov Ber, you really excel in the art, the discipline of mindfulness, meditation, call it what you will, just mastering the gray matter between our ears, which is just the most important thing we can do. So in terms of implementing this value in our life of being able to do the right thing no matter what, is there any strategy, a meditation, a mental trick, a habit that we can leverage to maybe build up that part of ourselves that needs to be strong in order to just do the right thing? Great. The costs are hard.
That's a great question.
Thank you so much.
So Jewish wisdom says we have something called hitabaninut. Hitabaninut means contemplation. Contemplation works in an immediate way because the second you stop to contemplate, the fire of what you're about to do is a little bit softened. Doesn't matter what you're contemplating yet, but the fact that you're taking a moment to think before you speak or think before you act, that already has drawn you more present. And then the contemplation is, how will I feel about this afterwards? Or just literally even more simple, saying to yourself, what's the right thing to do? Or is this the right thing to do in this situation? Sometimes it won't work because your craving's too strong and you'll eat that cake and smoke that thing and whatever. But in general, if you can start stopping yourself, so it's this combination of taking a deep breath, coming into the present moment, and saying to yourself, what is the right thing to do in this moment? And just working out that already, the fact that you've taken yourself into your head and out of your heart and your craving and whatever you're about to shout at someone, that's already calms you down. And then you think to yourself, how will I feel about myself after? If I shout at my wife, in the moment I feel empowered, but afterwards I feel like an idiot. But if I have self-restraint, then in the moment it will be hard, but afterwards I'll be proud of myself. So really the key to self-respect is to do the right thing. And so self-control gives you self-respect. So I want to respect myself because it's the greatest pleasure in life to be able to feel good about yourself, and then you'll have good relationships with other people. So life is really the essence, the most important thing in your life is to actually be able to look up to yourself. And the way to be able to look up to yourself is to have self-control and do what I know is the right. And then you just start training that muscle to always ask, what's the right thing? What's the right thing to do? Well, sometimes you'll fail and you'll get up and you'll try again.
Rabbi Dov Ber, where can people find more of your classes, your wisdom, your
Thank you.
gifts to the world?
Spotify, well, just go to rabbidovber.org, because on rabbidovber.org it will show you the WhatsApp group and the weekly newsletter and the Spotify podcast and everyone should go to Rabbi in the Hot Seat.
Yeah, it's a great show.
It's very
Great show. I recommend it highly.
No one's watching, but the people who are watching is very good.
Maybe we'll post this on that, and then
Then we get the video. Rabbi in the Hot Seat on the Rabbi Dov Ber official YouTube page. rabbidovber.org. Everything's there.
Okay, phenomenal. Thank you so much for being on Dreamers Like Joseph. Thank you, Rabbi Dov Ber.
You should be blessed.